as we said right at the top of the show, the social team have got some good progress that they've made on the Interrupt Tech, and I think we're going to bring Phil in, aren't we, to chat through that and show some
All right,
more
let's see what the social
videos.
team is going to
Hey,
show
guys.
you.
Hey, how you doing,
Hey,
Phil?
Yeah, I'm good. I've been lurking for the last half hour, so that was great.
You
I
saw
enjoyed
some
it.
of that.
Yeah, hard act to follow.
Awesome.
Even the
Yeah.
Well,
personal
thanks for
armor of the
joining us.
soldiers are different.
For
Yes,
those that
Dario,
don't know
you're
you,
right.
can you introduce yourself to everyone?
Yeah, my name's Philip Meller, and I'm lead designer.
Hey, JT, how are you?
And my current focus has been on Interrupt Tech.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
I
Show us something?
assume, yes, I was just going to say, hey, what do you want to show off today? But I assume you're going to jump in Interrupt Tech, so let's go for it.
Well, yeah, I'll talk you through. Start of the year, social team have been doing a big push on scene implementation. So at the end of come to the end of last year, most of our scenes were in, but they were in a base fashion. So basically, with the scenes, the player has to play ball, and if the player does anything, the scenes kind of fall apart really. So the big push is on the interstitials. That's the Idris Stanton.
Yeah, so that's what they were talking about here. Immersion gameplay from the player's point of view. What if the player wants to do something crazy? What if the player, as he said here, what if the player doesn't want to play ball? It seems that what we are going to see here are those eventualities. This is going to be, I think this sounds like it's going to be, again, I haven't watched it. I'm watching this live, like really live with you guys. It's 3 in the morning. It's 3 in the morning here. It sounds like an exciting segment. Let's see.
Being the player's base ship for a good chunk of the game. So I'll give you a bit of background on the actual Stanton. It's a military variant of the Idris. It's got a 2-ship complement of 2 Gladiuses, 80-person crew, which is a lot more than the standard Idris crew. So
okay, there it is. Look at that beauty here, the Stanton Idris M. 80 crew here. That means 80 NPCs are going to be working inside that ship as it moves around the map, as it progresses throughout the game, and you will be among all of them. All interactable, really?
That's 80 people to interact with, and it's not just faceless crew. Everyone's got a personality on this ship.
Is that 80 including yourself?
Yep.
Oh, so 79.
Yeah, so that's engineers, deck crew, bridge crew, medical, utility, you name it, they're all there.
Look at that. That's the bridge here of the Idris frigate, and that phrase seems to be flying pretty fast in that field of debris.
From the very start, Chris's remit was he wanted it believable. He didn't want.
It's more than a javelin, says Admiral Griffiths. Look at that. There's the captain. I forgot his name. That's the captain that we see here, that we saw in the vertical slice. Looks like the map. Look at that. The circle map is finally working, at least from what we're seeing here in this footage. This is looking great.
With a scene when you interact with someone, it's an easy trap to fall into. You cut to a third-person camera, or you funnel them. You'll shepherd them into a certain area, then you'll lock them in. Chris didn't want that. That was his remit from the start. I don't want that. So that was it's quite the challenge. So it all starts off with
I really wonder how many times Chris said, "I don't want that. I don't want that. Do it again." Right? That's what they're talking about here.
Script. So Dave and Will, they had to go and when they were writing the script, they had to keep in mind we needed opportune points during conversations that the player could intervene or break out of or abandon. So that had to be in mind. So that was a challenge for them, and then they had to write. It was wild lines after that. So they had to give us lines which could play out when the player was doing this. So in the middle of a conversation, player walks away. They have to give us wild lines like for pretty much every character. Where are you going? What are you doing? I thought we were talking. So that kind of
exactly.
Stuff. Yeah. And then it was. Sorry, Nick.
I was going to say the whole focus obviously is just on maximum immersion, isn't it? I mean, that's been Chris's remit from day one. That you've got to feel like you're actually part of the crew on there, and you're not some disembodied ghost or whatever that can float around. And
yes, that's one of the reasons, guys, why I am really waiting for Squadron 42 is that believability, that immersive experience, being really part of the crew. Of course, it's not going to be for real, it's a video game, right? But feeling that you're really part of that crew and that you're part of this machine, that you depend on them, but they also depend on you and your actions too. And that is, what is going to make this game amazing. I mean, who is my favorite actor? Is asking Admiral Griffiths. I would say, of course, Mark Hamill. Mark Strong, love Mark Strong. Gillian Anderson, also. I like this actress as well. I'm not sure. It's probably not going to be Sandy Gardner. She's also going to be in Squadron 42. I don't know, man. I don't know.
On the ship. Then.
Oh, Gary Oldman. How did I forget Gary Oldman? Of course, Gary Oldman. Love Gary Oldman.
Everyone reacts to you depending on what you do, even
Yeah,
in scenes that you're not actually part of.
Yeah, no, definitely a big challenge. But and I was looking forward to it, because I'm not a fan of it where you get locked in. Nothing worse than walking around a location terrified of being dragged into a conversation. So yeah, I was looking forward to this a lot. So moving on, Pcap. So when Chris and Hannes did the Pcap, they had to. Yeah, it must have been tough because they had to keep in mind again, a lot
What
of
is the
script,
Pcap,
they had
guys?
to give us opportune points to break in and out. So they can't have actors monologuing and gesticulating too much. Otherwise it'd make life awkward for us.
Yeah,
But,
I was there
yeah.
during some of the early Pcap shoots, and I do remember some of these. And this was before the system was even mature, and you could tell it was already in Chris's head, and the writers knew exactly what they were doing. And you'd see some of our top talent just reiterating different lines and variations, and
it must have been tough.
What's the difference between mocap and Pcap?
A little bit, yeah.
There's so many hours of Pcap, because of these sequences.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, but ultimately, that goal was to get it together, as you say, so you're not locked into a conversation, as Nick said. So you get that extra level and sense of immersion when you're interacting with NPCs wherever you are throughout the game, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So you conversate. You can pretty much attack a scene from any angle if you wish.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're not locked in. You can do what you want during the scene. You're not dragged in there. You can actually back off. You can 180, and the AI will react. You'll see in the video later.
Wow. Okay, we're gonna see that in the video. Okay, looking forward to it.
Had people sort of running over laughing at the amount of trolling, because obviously you can start talking to someone and then start backing away, and they've got to react to like, what the hell are you doing? Why are you that kind of thing? And the laughs in the room are great.
Yeah, no, it's cool. You can do it for hours. Hours of fun doing this.
Well, I hope people aren't going to play the game completely.
Can you imagine you go to the NPC? The NPC is programmed to talk to you. Make him say one word, go away, come back, go away, come back, go away. Starts coming back and then go away. Yes, there's definitely going to be some memes and trolls here, as they said here. If this is really going to happen.
If you're a jackass like me, you can do it. But it's funny because of the personalities on the ship, you can single out certain personalities who rub you up the wrong way. There's like abrasive characters. So with those guys, you can be rude, you can back off. You can do all of that.
Fall foul of the reputation system, though. If you do that, you can upset people too much.
You'll take a hit, but with some of those characters on the ship, it's well worth it.
Okay, so there's if you do that, then your reputation is actually going to take you a hit with those characters. Wow! So each character is going to have its own reputation system.
But so moving on, I'm rambling on the stages, but
no, it's
just to fill you in. So the implementation side. So we have the scene the end of last year. We had the scene in game. So then we have to do like a real focus pass on what we need to do. So this interrupt points. So you can have an ongoing conversation, two characters talking, and then player can barge in there, and at certain points within that conversation, they can break out and engage with you. So that's a challenge. So you have to find certain points where you're not.
This is a conversation you're not even involved in. I mean, it's two other people in a corridor talking, and then you go and lurk next to them, and they've got to look at you and reference you believably.
Exactly.
And obviously, maintain the performance as well. So there's a lot of work in that.
Hence
how many times? This must have taken hours upon hours upon hours of motion picture to try to record every single possibility of what players may be able to do with the interactions of those NPCs. This is just insane. Gamer Tester, nice to see you today. Hi, how are you doing?
Rep Tech, right?
Yes. Well, Interrupt Tech, but that's a part of it.
Yeah.
So then we have so then it would for example, say you interrupt a conversation, then during that conversation you have breakpoints, and that's points throughout the conversation where you can potentially back off. You can 180. It just kind of break off from the conversation, and they have to adapt to that. So then that's when the wild lines kick in. You know, like, oh, you got somewhere to be. Then
that we can rude, that kind of stuff.
There's all sorts. Yeah, but then the player's given an opportunity to kind of rejoin, or can they abandon? You know, and if you rejoin, the NPC's got to pick up the conversation, and if you abandon, you know, the NPC's got to go back to pretty much gesticulate and go, oh, what the hell? Okay, I guess you don't want to talk. Then they go back to what they were doing.
Some of the cool ones I've seen when we've reviewed these recently are those ones when they do get picked back up, right? I'm close to, you know, somebody has their conversation between two people. I walk in, they acknowledge me, and they turn to me, oh, hey, I remember that thing, and they start telling me a story, and I back away. They tell me a line. I then come forward again, and they're like, okay, all right, so let me pick it right back up. And I think as far as the tech that's there, and I know it's not the easiest thing to do, but when they're put together,
it's not, because what you have to watch out is that they can become very cheesy, you know, very cringy, and that's obviously something that they need to avoid. Now, are they successfully going to avoid? I guess we'll see in the future, but they definitely must be presenting quite a lot of challenges.
They're intended to be. They're seamless.
Yeah, right? I mean, that's super hard for the actors. Because they've got to maintain the intonation.
You don't see hitches from the animation. You don't see this. You don't see that. It flows, and it feels really natural, which is really cool.
Yeah, well, that's it. People spot it straight away.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, if you do it clunky, it's kind of you'll spot it.
And this is what Chris and you know, the writers, when they were doing the Pcap for these things, you maintain the intonation, and you know, it does feel seamless. It doesn't feel you know, jarring too much.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's not just going to be, as they said, it's not just going to be motion capture. As they said, the intonation also must be perfectly spot on, because again, if it's not, you have a certain intonation, and then the conversation is interrupted, and then you come back and the intonation is wrong. It's as if your action are totally meaningless, right? So that also, there's a lot also that relies on the skills of the director and the skills of the voice actors as well.
Show us then.
So this is Morrow, everyone's favorite engineer. So he's like the ship's gossip. You know, every time you stumble across this guy, he's gossiping about something. So in the start conversation, we have 2 interrupt points, which I spoke about before. That's breaking into a conversation. Then he turns his attention to you, and then we have, during the following conversation, we have 5 break points. And that's pause, resume, abandon points. So you can do either of those. Mm-hmm. And then we also have the performance based to the left and to the right. So you can attack this from any angle if you want.
That's cool.
Okay.
Just to be fair to the character department, we should say that the character models in this are the basic versions prior to all the sort of lovely polish.
Oh, yeah.
Wait. So they did a motion capture if you are talking to the guy from the left and if you are talking to the guy from the right, obviously from front and behind too. That is insane.
That they lavish.
Are we going to see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we always hate giving disclaimers. But,
I also want them to praise our
autographs. But yeah, I don't think they are the most up to date. I heard this video may have a little bit of length, but it shows the variety that we have, and although it may even be a little bit repetitive sometimes with the line that's there. Again, it shows those angles, it shows the timing, and so on. So
it's okay, Brian. We've been waiting for the Squadron 42 video for 5 months. It's okay to have a long video.
Yeah, it's a lengthy video. It's a bit of Groundhog Day in there, but that's the whole point of it. It shows all the different scenarios we've catered for. You know, this is just for a single scene.
Yeah, the level of complexity that there has to be depending on approaches.
Come on,
awesome, let's watch it.
Yeah. Okay, let's watch it. All right, good. They've been hyping us for such a long time. Okay.
The entire face completely rebuilt afterwards. Lieutenant! Congrats on the big first mission.
Okay. How many of you guys have watched I think it was the 2016 or 2017 vertical slice? When you started the video, they're saying Lieutenant all the time. People were calling this video Lieutenant Simulator, and the first thing that we hear Hey, Lieutenant, so it's 2017 all over again where we're being called Lieutenant all the time. Lieutenant, hey, Lieutenant, nice to see you. And there we go again, right?
Exciting stuff. Lieutenant, you alright?
Oh, did you see the facial expressions that we were living? He's like, hey, excited. He's like, hey, where are you going? Amazing. Yeah, that guy is a little bit enthusiastic for sure. He's like, Lieutenant, nice to see you. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool though. I like it.
Right. Where was I? It must be great to finally feel like a real pilot. And not that you weren't a real pilot before, but now you've actually done something without, well, blowing up. Never mind, I guess.
Never mind. Alright, good. Do your stuff. Super cool. Alright, we're gonna do it one more time.
Yeah. The entire face completely rebuilt afterwards. Apparently the lieutenant...
Oh yeah, he's talking to another guy here. Okay, so that's why he was speaking.
Completely different before Vega. Lieutenant! Congrats on the big first mission. Exciting stuff. It must be great to finally feel like a real pilot. And not that you weren't a real pilot before, but now you've actually done something without, well, blowing up. Lieutenant, you alright?
Yeah, I'm back.
Right. Where was I? Speaking of pilots, did you hear what happened to Ishitaka last year? So, we were posted out in some backwater system. Oh, I forget which one. Maybe next. Anyway, we decided to go out drinking at this dumper of a trade station. Real dump. Never mind, I guess.
Alright, and this happened. Alright, very cool, very cool.
Entire face completely rebuilt afterwards. Apparently the lieutenant looked completely different before Vega. Lieutenant! Congrats on the big first mission. Exciting stuff. It must be great to finally feel like a real pilot. And not that you weren't a real pilot before, but now you've actually done something without, well, blowing up. Speaking of pilots, did you hear what happened to Ishitaka last year? So, we were posted out in some backwater
Guy likes
system.
to do some
Oh, I
gossips.
forget which one.
This is amazing.
Maybe next. Anyway, we decided to go out drinking at this dumper of a trade station.
By the way, it's so funny, you know, they they say, oh yeah, we went to which station? Oh, Nix, and we went to this dump of a train station. That's obviously Levski, right? They're talking about Levski.
Real dumb. Lieutenant, you alright?
Yeah, bye. Come back.
Right. Where was I? Ishitaka is completely ripped. I mean, she's totaled. Decides her face could do with a bit of an upgrade. Wakes up the next morning with a nose like the front of Freelancer. Never mind, I guess.
Can we come back and resume the conversation? Okay, no.
Yeah, the entire face.
Okay, this time we're going on the other side. Okay, very cool.
Apparently the lieutenant looked completely different before Vega. Lieutenant! Congrats on the big first mission.
Yeah, the animation is
Exciting
quite
stuff.
different, right?
It must be great to finally feel like a real pilot. And not that you weren't a real pilot before, but now you've actually done something without, well, blowing up. Speaking of pilots, did you hear what happened to Ishitaka last year? So, we were posted out in some backwater system.
Gosh, it's true. The guy is
Maybe next.
talking
Anyway,
and talking
we
and
decided
talking.
to go drinking at this dumper of a trade station. Real dumb. Ishitaka is completely ripped. I mean, she's totaled. Decides her face could do with a bit of an upgrade. Wakes up the next morning with a nose like the front of Freelancer. Lieutenant, you alright? Right. Where was I? The dog said she couldn't fix it. Said she wouldn't fix something that isn't broken.
Oh, right, very interesting. So there's that particular point. It can be at any time during the conversation where you leave. The AI recognized that they were going to say this word, so they transition to an animation like, all right, bye. Then, Amirographus, you're right. He's like the Boron from X4. Then, when you come back, he says, hey, where was I? And then he resumes exactly to the word he was at in the conversation. That's still a very smart process.
Yes. Yeah, the entire face completely rebuilt afterwards. Apparently the lieutenant looked completely different before Vega. Lieutenant! Congrats on the big first mission. Exciting stuff. It must be great to finally feel like a real pilot. And not that you weren't a real pilot before, but now you've actually actually done something without, well, blowing up. Speaking of pilots, did you hear what happened to Ishitaka last year? So, we were posted out in some backwater system. Oh, I forget which one. Maybe next. Anyway, we decided to go out drinking at this dumper of a trade station. Real dump. Ishitaka is completely ripped. I mean, she's totaled. Decides her face could do with a bit of an upgrade. Wakes up the next morning with a nose like the front of Freelancer. Doc said she couldn't fix it. Said she wouldn't fix something that isn't broken. Lieutenant, you alright?
Yeah, I think you're right here, Gamer Tessa. So the second time he calls, he already abandons conversation. Quite cool AI. Yeah. This is it's so much different than the AI we're seeing in a PU, right? Because obviously they don't need the same server tech, and this is bringing so much extra, extra details that seems so far away from what we were seeing in the PU. That's why we need more of those video updates, sorry.
Right, where was I? Ishitaka had to walk around with that disaster for a month before she got some more shore leave. Lesson to be learned, Anyway, catch you later.
Wow, that was pretty cool.
So that's how you finish the conversation.
It showed off the variety. You see the nuances in between it, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like if you didn't know that it was a system that existed with all these angles, you could look at the video and say, wow, it's really repetitive or this and that. But again, it shows off that variety. I'm approaching these NPCs at different angles, at different points. They're breaking off. And again, as I said, the seamless back and forth with the animation to me is cool, because if you have hitches in there or the poses aren't lined up, or
can you imagine, guys, that we will be able to do that? Apparently, we'll be able to do that with every single AI in Star Citizen. That is the most breathtaking, mind-blowing element of all. This is just one conversation with one AI in the whole of Squadron 42, but you'll be able to do it with all of them. In fact, the AI annoys me repeating the same lines. That's why I understand this progress. Yeah, Game Taster, you're not gonna have to listen to that all the time. If you want to leave, you just leave, right? Exactly. Do you like any of the 100i series, Admiral Griffiths? I like the 300. I like the 225, the dogfighter version, Admiral. If I had to get one, that's the one I would get.
There's not procedural bits driving other bits. The moments it's noticeable, it breaks you out of that immersion. Right.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking. There's maybe a couple of things we still want to polish on these, but
no, of course,
I'm looking at a couple of areas, but yeah, we're really pleased with
it. We can always make them better, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even the environments as well in there. So we didn't know initially because they weren't quite final with it, but you've got to cater for people coming from all the various angles that you could do in those environments, and when you put light on top of it, there's a lot of work involved.
I'm worried. There's a lot of perfectionists in this company. Chris being one of them.
Chris top of the hill.
yeah, he spots it.
That's cool.
But yeah, I've got another video for you if you want to see it.
Oh yes, please. Show us as many videos as possible.
So you're showing us how the magic's done in this one.
Yeah. So that was all done in first person, and that was all done. It was all range based, so you were kind of backing off when you're doing the interrupts. So this kind of shows off the player. In these examples, 118. Here, I'll show you the video.
All right. Okay, so the trigger conditions.
Congrats on the big first mission. Exciting stuff.
So that was his focus trigger, realizing he'd seen you, and this is the player.
Oh, did you see that? See, you are still exactly the same spot, but you're not looking at the guy. And he's, hey, Lieutenant, I'm here. Hello. What are you looking at? Super cool. Just looking somewhere else is going to trigger that different reaction from the AI.
You see 180ing being fairly obnoxious.
Right. Where was I?
And this,
you've got the debug markers, haven't you?
Yeah.
From his feet coming out.
Yeah, he's got an interaction trigger around him, and that's dynamically scaling depending on what the player's doing. So when the player 180s,
never mind,
shrinks.
It's so cool when you totally ignore it, the AI acknowledges that you ignore him, say a little line like yeah whatever, and does their own stuff. That's awesome.
The player return 180s again. Here you can see it now. Goes back into it, increases, and then he actually picks up the conversation again.
Exciting stuff.
So it's that marker that's going out, and then if that's within proximity, it then triggers a certain action. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
yeah, straight like a head look and then a resume.
Yeah. So the player maintains eye contact for say 4 seconds, for example's sake, and he picks up the conversation.
Maybe next. Anyway, we decide to go out drinking at this.
See the player's doing it again there.
Real dump. Lieutenant.
You see what I mean about maximum trolling, though?
That's awesome. It's like he keeps on talking until he says that Levski is a real dump. Say so dumb. I'm not looking at you. And the Lieutenant, I'm not gonna. This is hilarious.
I mean, you see people doing this to test it out.
It does.
It's very
like
strange.
I said, we were trying this out in the office. So me and Reese were talking about it, and they were saying, well, let's go and try it out and see what they do. So you go and engage, usually a coder, so you go and engage them in a conversation.
You're asking for trouble.
Yes. So you just 180 in the middle of it, just turned away. I think we did it to Carlos a couple of times.
No, again, but that's really cool. It's cool to see
it would be fun to do. 'Cause this AI is going to bring a lot of fun to the game. I could totally imagine myself doing an entire run on Squadron 42, doing everything, playing the hero, and then playing Squadron 42 a second time, this time playing the anti-hero, like doing everything wrong, disrespecting the crew, trash-talking them, talking to them, going back, trolling them, and see what the difference would be. Seems it's going to be possible, and it's going to bring definitely a lot of fun. So we're going to have, I can totally imagine, and this is something that I've done in Kingdom Come Deliverance. In Kingdom Come Deliverance, I've got the White Knight hero version, and then I also have, the bad guy version too. And we're gonna be able to do that in Squadron 42 apparently, and that is going to, again, when you have a single player game, one of the key things is how do you bring in replayability, and giving players those kind of options is a key to replayability. And a lot of people are going to want to replay the game with different attitudes, and that's how they are building that.
Functioning at the level that it is right now. It's all about immersion, and it's all about us as you're walking around this world wherever you are.
Graphics is only here for the F8.
With those NPCs and have those be believable. As you said, Phil, not being locked into a conversation, or even if you're not locked in and you're free to roam, even going away, like you said, is going to have some type of consequence potentially, right? Even if it's you're annoying the heck out of the guys, right? Or the girl, or whoever it is that you're abandoning, or or who you're interrupting, or so on. Yeah.
Well, on the Idris, there's 80 people to troll. And it's not about trolling as well. Sometimes you'll kick off a conversation.
80 people to troll. That would be fun.
I've not got time for this. I'm moving on. You can do that.
Can I
the
troll
moment we saw this implemented in its first pass, and I remember being in a review with it, literally we were all, as Nick was saying, we're all laughing, and then we immediately just went, okay, the amount of people that are, the amount of videos that are going to go online just trolling people.
Yep.
Right? Yes. Because it is true, even just with the testing that we do, you see it, and the amount of weird wild lines that kind of randomly come in from time to time. You're just like, based off of it's somebody casual, or is it somebody that's more, slightly aggressive, or like you said, a little bit gruff exterior, and so on. So
the captain, we're gonna have to troll
it's
the
evolving
captain
all the time as well. Because at the moment we're implementing
or Mark
gestures,
Hamill. Can you imagine trolling Mark Hamill?
As it stands, you kind of stand there fairly static. Then they hit you with a wild line like, "Oh, where are you going?" But now there'll be jashes going in, stuff like this, and giving you the finger or whatever.
That's cool.
Awesome. So those will be going in. Yeah, it's just layering on the realism.
No, that's cool. That's cool.
Big challenge because there's a lot of them. Just on the Idris, I think we've got 245 scenes, and I think 145 of them require this tech.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. It isn't just in the Idris. It's everywhere throughout the game. We really sort of tried to make the player experience and moving around, all the spaces as immersive as possible. Allowing the player to
that's
feel
just
like
the Idris. But guys, there's going to be the Bengal. There's going to be a Javelin as well. There's going to be all the other stations. The Shubin station as well. Maybe the Acedo station as well. Trolling Mark Hamill and Max Troll, right. So that's going to be a lot of people to troll.
Part of the story, as it evolves and everything, and it's the first time I've ever seen anything like this in a game.
Yeah, and this won't be just look at it. I've got a cat charging across the desk. Come here, you. This won't be just this won't be just the social areas. This will be FPS scenarios. If you're accompanying a bunch of Marines, you can actually leave them as well. They'll have lines for it. That's cool. Where the hell are you going?
Yeah. Well, it's one of the advantages when we take the time to build out these systems and build them out to the level that we're holding ourselves to, which is a fairly high standard. Once that system's mature and in place, we also think about the tool side and the implementation side, right? So you have that underlying tech, but then we're also building it so these things can be implemented in a fairly efficient way. And that implementation path matures and matures and matures, meaning it's not just, as you guys said, it's not stuck for one area. Once the tool set's there and once we have a full understanding and edge cases of what breaks and what doesn't, right? That's something then you can then propagate everywhere to the most extent. So you can have these same type of interactions regardless of where you're at in Squadron, which is really cool.
Yeah, we're getting faster at it now. In the early days, it was tough. It was a real challenge. We'd be pestering the other departments. Oh, we need an abandon for this, and we need an extra abandon there. We need a gesture for this.
Yeah.
But now, if you plan it right, you can get these in fairly quickly now.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Just don't upset Carlos by abandoning or running away from him, because he's the architect that's helping you put this together.
All right. Well, this
it's also the amount of meetings we've had that were reviewing abandons and interrupts, and people just would leave the call without saying anything or interrupting each other. Like, it got old pretty quick, but it did happen quite a bit.
No, all good fun. Yeah, too easy for puns, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time.
Well, that was definitely
Phil.
very
it's
interesting.
Really cool to see progress.
The hype train is on, guys. The hype train is on for Squadron 42.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah.
And it's
if we're having one of episode like that every quarter.
Right. Okay.
Awesome.
Guys.
Awesome.
I think we're getting to an end.
Well, absolutely, we are. We're wrapping it up. So thank you, Nick, for joining us, for helping me out here.
It was fun. It was great.
Cool. So I appreciate everyone watching. I always enjoy when we get to show off some more progress and dive deeper.
Well, that Squadron 42 video was definitely much appreciated, Brian.
And to close out the show, I wanted to leave you with a video that our art director for Squadron 42 put together, Nathan Dearsley of Asiato.
Oh, guys! I completely forgot. Yeah, before we wrap this up, there is something I wanted to say. Paul Jones, who is also a developer here for Star Citizen, has got those amazing t-shirts. So if you want to have a giveaway from Paul Jones, a developer of Star Citizen, just go to Twitter and retweet the hashtag Paul's big t-shirt giveaway, and he'll be able to track you. Maybe you'll be able to win a Paul Jones t-shirt, from this beautiful Castak Arms t-shirt, for example. That would be great. So yeah, if you're interested, that would be a great way to have a unique t-shirt. Anyway, back to the Squadron 42 video. What are we gonna look at here?